All right, welcome. We are playing The Between, my campaign being called Stars and Suns as a subtitle. And this game is created by Jason Cordova. Um, and just do real quick player introductions again because we have our fourth player, Chris, joining us this evening. And unfortunately, Ironar is not able to join us, so we're just going to do full out concept, aim, tone, and subject matter, and safety, just to make sure that we all review that for Chris's benefit, especially because he is not experienced in the between like the rest of us. Okay, so again, I am Mads, she, her, they pronouns, and I love tabletop role playing games, and I have played the between. More than a few times, and so this is my attempt to start really running a campaign of my own. Okay, let's head over to Jack.
My name is Jack. Any pronouns are fine. I'm playing the vessel, Mildred Bloom. Her pronouns are she, her. Let's play some football.
Let's go over to Ben.
Hello, I'm Ben, Ben Bisogno. I play Lord Oda. I am excited to play someone that's well, I can't say anything about my character. I am excited to get dark and dirty. So
He's already started. It's fine. And then, welcome, Chris.
Hello, I'm Chris. I am always and eternally just some guy. Uh, he, him pronouns. My video is off for this session because of internet issues. Other than that, yeah, nothing to tell.
Okay. All right. So, again, buzzing through to make sure that everybody's on the same page with the cats, which is concept, aim, tone, and subject matter. The Between is a tabletop role playing game about a group of mysterious monster hunters in Victorian-era London. These hunters learn about various monstrous threats in the city and conduct investigations or hunts in order to neutralize them. Over time, they become aware of the plans of a criminal mastermind who is pulling the strings behind the scenes. The hunters will eventually be forced to confront this criminal mastermind in order to save Queen and country. The Between is directly inspired by the TV show Penny Dreadful, but also takes inspiration from British horror classics such as, the works of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, pulp era media, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and From Hell. The game's mechanics are based on Apocalypse World and Brindlewood Bay, and players don't need to know anything about those two games before playing. Aim. The aim of the characters in this story is to keep London safe by investigating the monstrous threats and learning how to stop them. Players aim to learn more about these characters' mysterious pasts, as well as to paint a vivid picture of their version of Victorian-era London, a responsibility all players share. The aims for the session, of course, is to have the characters interact and then learn the basics of the game while playing it, and then having a debrief period at the end. Tone. The tone of The Between is dark, mysterious, and sensual. A little bit of levity or humor from time to time is okay, but you should always strive to return to that dark, brooding place the characters exist in. And subject matter. Murder, cannibalism, body horror, dark sexual themes, erotic sensuality, threats to animals and children, foul language, blasphemy, witchcraft, and defiling graves and corpses are all things that can come up frequently in the game. This game deals with dark and intense subject matter. And for that, expectations to manage these would be with our safety tools. We have access to the X card, which is basically if something is distinctly objectionable or unfun in the moment, then go ahead and make an X in the video or do an X in the chat to ping me on it, and we will stop, take that particular thing out, clarifying what it is that needs to be X-carded, and then move on, and then replace it with something else. We will never ask you why. Then there's also the open door policy. So again, if something's not working out for you, for whatever reason, don't have to know why, just go ahead and take the open door and say, okay, I'm leaving the game. Just let us know if you're coming back after the scene or if you're completely leaving, just to let us know. And again, we'll not ask why. And then we also have access to a safety tab in our character keeper, which contains lines and veils. And so, of course, lines are things that we will not include in our game at all, and veils are things that we will essentially fade to black, maybe mention, but not roleplay out fully. Okay? And with that, we're just going to dive in. We've already had one session of the Between. We will introduce Chris's character, new to the game. I will intro the hunter in question and then start to include them. All right. So, the Factotum. You had a life before you entered the service of your employer, but the details of that life are unimportant. All that matters now is the person you serve and Hargrave House, where you will grow ancient and die, if you're lucky. More likely, your employer's colleagues, these hunters, will be the end of you, overturning things that should remain hidden and goading on terrors that dwell in dark places. You'll do your best to help them, of course, to keep them alive, because without them, what are you, really?
All right. I am Eligos,
Look,
high servant of the lady. What is your name? Hang on. Always trouble with formalities at the beginning, aren't there? Of Highlight. I am high servant of the lady Mildred Bloom. I, see to her household, avenge her petty disputes, make sure she is safe when possessed, the needful things that need be done.
list your look and your vice.
Right.
The three things that you've picked out.
My look, I have an elegantly trimmed mustache. I have a black umbrella and a cameo necklace, displaying, of course, the likeness of my employer.
And your vice?
My vice is comedy.
Okay.
What can I say? I like watching drunkards laugh.
Excellent. So, knowing that, as we do in a group, what do we think is in Eligos's personal quarters? So each of us would give him something to put in there. And Chris, when you enter these things in, you do have revision or veto power on the item, okay?
Okay.
I'm stumbling because I'm seeing a very big paragraph in the chat of what Lord Oda would like to see in Eligos's.
Oh, excellent! I have
quarters.
no notes. I love
What
you've discovered one of my secret special interests, which is Commedia dell'arte.
Oh my God. Okay.
Mads, you have veto power. And
I know I do. I mean, like,
revise
I love
anything.
I'm keeping the mask. Give it make it haunted at your own peril.
Yeah.
How about I just take the first little bit?
Just the first little bit. It's fine. The first little bit I'll take, not the rest of it. That's only if Chris decides to eventually do a custom move or something like that.
That seems a little specific.
My goodness. I appreciate your creativity, Ben, but wow. Okay, so yes, that. Just simply a cabinet of Commedia dell'arte masks, including a haunted Arlecchino mask, but we'll see if that actually comes up in play. Now, just so you know, since you're not familiar with the game, the personal quarters items can be fictionally positioned at any time. Like, you have it, you have it, and you can use it for narration or whatever purposes.
Like in Brindlewood, right?
Yes. The mechanical use, of course, is you mark it once, and for that particular role, you would gain advantage. So you would roll 3 die instead of just 2 and
Cool.
take the 2 highest because you're applying that personal quarters item in some way. Okay? And then are
Got it.
only able to unmark it if, you get the advancement that lets you do so. All right? Now, what is in Eligos's?
I'm gonna say a athame, but it's like a Chris style blade.
Hey, what?
Chris, Kris. It's like a wavy.
No, just put it in chat because I
Yeah, sure.
Is it like the wavy blade?
yeah, that's what a Chris is. It's like a wavy dagger.
Okay, got it.
Ooh.
I don't know what an athame blade is though.
It's a
It's
ritual
old.
knife.
Yeah.
Love that for them.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And what does the Factotum get from me?
Where did it go?
Ooh, I know. I'm gonna type this in chat while I'm trying to describe it. All right. What the Factotum has, I'm going to go with my classic, a teak box the size of a shoebox that has a lock on it. And only the Factotum knows what he keeps in it.
This is fun because if I'm reading right, Lady Bloom also has a teak box containing some secrets.
It has, secretive things in it, but does have tea. Maybe more. Who knows? I don't know. But yes. Such fun. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Now I have to give people some stuff, right?
Yes, you would give one item to Ms. Bloom and to Lord Oda. Yes. I think you can get a good idea from looking at what's already in their personal quarters.
Yeah.
What to give.
I'm a little stuck on both of them.
If you feel like you're not quite inspired yet, we can totally wait until.
You can always be inspired by maybe the character's vice or any moves they have picked.
Yes, that too.
That might.
Oh, right. I forgot to check vices.
Yeah, vices are always the first thing.
Okay, for Lady Bloom, why can't I read your vice? Should just be here.
Her vice is watching children at play.
Cool. I'm going to give you a wrought iron bell for the warding of spirits.
Nice.
Nice. And for Lord Oda?
Lord Oda. Is it too much to give you a painting depicting your own grisly death?
I mean, it's definitely not near my what is it called? My
Likeness.
So it's fine. I'm excited to figure out how to use it in play.
Yeah. That sounds excellent. So go ahead and put that in there.
You, as always, have free reign over any details that may be present in said painting.
Exactly. I mean, too awesome. I'm inspired already. Okay. Okay. So, just as a reminder, folks, let's see. The current threat that is on the table is Creature of Cremorne Gardens, and the first question that needs to be answered to unlock the next question, an opportunity basically, is you deciding from the clues presented, is the creature real or is it a hoax? Complexity 4. You have already collected 8 clues because you wanted to kind of bolster, what could possibly come when you decide to theorize about whether it's real or a hoax. All right, and then that will unlock the next opportunity, okay? And then, for today, before we get started into... Oh, you know what? Let me just check the phase tracker. Yeah, so phase tracker, we followed the day, dusk, night, and then dawn phase. Oh, and in case you hadn't already done it, Chris, I just want to look over what you have down here. Yes, you did pick out dawn questions, so that's good. Any scenes that you end up having, you can try to aim for answering those dawn questions to get XP, okay? So, works a little bit like Brindlewood Bay in that respect, okay? So, before we get into scenes, I will present the new threat. Father O'Donnell, the Dean of St. Cecilia's Cathedral, nervously knocks on the doors of Hargrave House. After asking to come in, he shares that for the past month his fellow clergy have been coming to him with reports of statues that move and the sensation of always being watched. Chalking it up to feeling the Holy Spirit, he thought nothing of it until last Sunday when Wesley Burke, one of his deacons, was found hanging from the rafters, chest splayed open above the pulpit. O'Donnell has paused normal services temporarily and given the body to the authorities, but they seem uninterested in pursuing the case much further than questioning parishioners. O'Donnell has heard Hargrave House's reputation as investigators into the paranormal and hopes you might clear St. Cecilia's of this unholy blight. So, Ms. Bloom. Or would you prefer Lady Bloom?
Oh no, I'm a miss. I'm not a lady.
Okay. Ms. Bloom, you know of stories that tell of different entities that can possess and animate stone. These creatures, no matter the source, are called gargoyles. However, something about the Dean's story seems to suggest that this gargoyle has not taken the form of the traditional imp. It's something much worse. What form does this gargoyle take?
Say that the gargoyle looks like some sort of cross between like a big muscly hound, but with covered in eyes, sort of like a seraphim angel. It also has wings that are coming out of its back.
Wings and a ton of eyes. Fabulous. All right, so for this one, also has a threshold question. What entity gave the gargoyle life? Demon, spirit, or man? This is a complexity 2, and to answer this question, we'll unlock the next appropriate question, depending on how you answer. What entity gave the gargoyle life? A demon, spirit, or man? Okay? All right, so we're going to resume day phase now. And in day phase, no threats can be resolved. They have to wait until night phase. All right? But the characters can enact the vulnerable move, which means when you have an intimate moment with another hunter, while one of you is engaged in your vice, you may clear an appropriate condition. If it's your vice, you can also stumble on a clue, tell the keeper what it is. The clue cannot conclusively answer a question by itself, or you invite the other hunter to ask you about your past. You must answer truthfully, but not necessarily completely. All right? So I believe that Ms. Bloom would like to speak with Lord Oda, or is it the other way around?
Well, definitely, the Miss Bloom would like to speak with Mr. Oda. Yes.
It's not Mr. I've told you before.
Oh,
Miss Bloom.
Go
but
ahead
yeah,
and frame it up.
Let's
yeah.
bring it up.
If you're okay with it,
Mhm.
Lord Oda, I feel like Miss Bloom is very much the type of person who would not be afraid to confront somebody about it.
Give me a moment. My mother's calling for me. Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, if you didn't mind, I was thinking Miss Bloom would be the one to just come to you. And since it's your advice, I don't know how you want to frame it, but I feel like she would probably just come to you.
Yeah. So it is my Vice's song. So I think I have a few ideas of how we could do it, whatever interests you the most. First, it could be like a music salon in Hargrave House. I think that's the easiest, right? Another option is I'm maybe a different church, or maybe the church in question, but I could be singing as a soloist or in the boys' choir at the church in the threat. But I feel like that's a little too, I don't know.
Let's go with salon since it's in the house.
Let's go slow. Yeah. So it's the music salon.
Don't describe it too deeply, because we're going to get to that when we get to that room.
Oh yeah, there is a salon. I forget.
There is.
And I have my metronome going, and I am singing Old Lang Syne with you, Mildred.
Yeah, so Mildred at this hour is well put together, hair is done up in a bun. This time she's wearing more of like a very soft pastel rose pink colored dress from neck to wrist to floor length. She comes in carrying something swaddled. It looks to be like crisp white linens, but there's definitely something inside of it. But she comes in as you're playing. What are you playing?
Mildred, I was just in the middle of something. What do you have there? Why are you being a bother again?
Mr. Oda, do you make it a habit of intruding on people who don't want to be intruded upon?
It is if they deserve it. That is the standard at which I act. Do you deserve to be intruded upon, young lady?
Well, I don't know. I didn't think I did, but apparently, between seeing you last night in my own personal, private meeting with a young man, and the guests that you left in my room last night, well, I'm not sure you have a very clear understanding of what boundaries are.
It's true. Just taking a whiff right now. What is that peculiar odor I smell coming off you? It's a deep smell. Is it the smell of grave?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Was that a smell of grave, just dirt?
No, it could be this though. And she presents the swaddle of white linens, but you see at the bottom, they're a deep blood red, and she tosses it into your lap. I found that in my room last night, by the way. You should be careful about what you leave in my room. Things may be in there.
Things may be in there. Miss
I don't
Bloom.
like to be intruded upon.
I take your point, Ms. Bloom. I was quite rude to simply walk in. Next time I will not, but if you will have it, I can always be invited into your room if you would have me.
Mr. Oda, that may be negotiable in the future, but for now I would prefer to have my space and you have yours.
All right. Well, would you like to sing with me? I am quite prepared.
At this time, I think you both hear something coming from the front door, which sounds like ding, 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 ding.
Don't get it, Mr. Oda, I will get it. And,
Before we get to that, let me
you.
ask you. Okay, so I think it's only Lord Oda that has cleared conditions. Like you cleared watched, I think,
Oh,
because she's addressed it.
I don't
She's-
want to clear it though.
Oh, you don't want to clear it? Okay, then never mind
No.
that. But you would, since it's your vice
Mhm.
mentioned, you get the bonus. So you can either stumble on a clue and you tell me what it is, or you invite Ms. Bloom to ask you about your past.
Oh, I asked her about my past for sure.
As she starts to turn heel and walk out of the salon, she stops at the door and holds her hand against the threshold and looks back to you over her shoulder and looks at the swaddle of something in the swaddled up in the sheets. But she looks up at you and says, "Mr. Oda, have you always been this intrusive?"
And Lord Oda is ending the song. Mornings I. Oh, Ms. Bloom. Have I always been this intrusive? I would say that I wish I was never quite this intrusive, but from the day in which I first walked this earth and then walked beneath, I have been more curious than was healthy for me. I hope to learn more about you in our time together. You see, I have seen things. I know certain things about people like you, but I don't think you've ever encountered someone like me, someone as curious about the beyond and the divine.
Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding.
I really must get that. And she'll continue out of the salon.
I should hold acquaintance. And then he continues.
And Eligos, you've made your way to Hargrave House.
Indeed, I have.
I'll go ahead and let Ms. Bloom open the door.
Yes, so she approaches the front door and straightens up, takes in a deep breath, trying to calm herself down from the previous encounter with Mr. Oda. And she relaxes, composes herself, and opens the door. But as soon as she sees Eligos, her position just comes undone, and she looks at him with disbelief. Eligos.
Lady Mildred, I'm so sorry to have been delayed thusly, but unfortunately there were things that needed to be done. Oh, you look quite flustered. Do you need to sit down? Would you like a glass of water?
Delayed, I didn't know that you were supposed to be here.
I go wherever I am needed, and I have never met anyone who has needed me quite so much as you.
Oh, and she looks down and sees that your bags are in hand and realizes that you're here to stay and looks back up at you, and she pulls part of her hair back behind her ear that kind of came undone when she was rattling off at Mr. Oda. Oh, yes, but please do come in. There's plenty of room to settle in if you'd like to find a room upstairs. And yes, I'm sorry.
Please do not worry on my account. I will take care of all.
Thank you, Eligos.
Now, about that glass of water. I will immediately set my bags down and go to the kitchen.
Eligos, you should be aware that I'm not the only one here.
I am. I could tell by from the shoes by the door.
She kind of smiles a bit, relaxing at the sound of that sort of confident rebuttal, and she closes the door softly, much more softly than she opened it, and will start to kind of follow him into the kitchen.
In the kitchen, you find the aftermath of last night's soiree. There are drunk lads and ladies just like sleeping, and some are still, but they're not sleeping. There's kiss marks all over them. And
Lady Bloom, what have you been up to in my absence?
This is the others who live here. These ones don't live here, and they should not be here. These are guests of another resident of the house.
I think as you're saying that, I mean, like, they're starting to groggily, like, stretch and then show off what they have.
Quiet, you. My lady is talking.
Oh, where are we?
You are currently gracing the esteemed floors of Hargrave House. I would expect you to cease doing so as quickly as possible.
The person who spoke is, like, starting to kind of wake everybody else up and then just kind of, I guess we must gather our clothes and go. Let's go. Let's find some fun elsewhere.
Lord Satoro, like, opens it's kind of like barn doors almost. Like just one door on the top, and says, my fine guests, thank you so much for coming this past night. It was quite a scene we had. And is this a new rat we have here? I don't remember it from last night.
This is my manservant, Eligos. Eligos, this is Mr. Oda.
Pardon. I am pleased to make your acquaintance, sir.
What? A manservant for a commoner? And Lord Oda is like holding this beautiful feline, and it's like it looks covered in matted blood, right? And he puts it on the floor, and he says, "Pets, come to." And the partygoers, their eyes start to change, and their pupils go small, and they jump to feast at the little red swaddled item. And Lord Oda steps away and says, "It's wonderful that we have a servant finally at Hargrave House. I'm just wondering why you didn't come for me. You see, I am a lord. And she over there is a tea witch.
Quite.
Can't you see she's quite the hag?" I just don't know. Servants these days. Well, Mildred, you'll need all the help you can get, I understand. Please start breakfast. We have a lot of business to go about today.
Very well, sir.
And that is where we were going to cut that scene. For purposes of your employer move, Chris, Eligos can only request a scene for purposes of triggering the vulnerable move with your employer. So only with Ms. Bloom, okay?
Cool.
Though others may request a scene with you in the normal way. So, if like,
I can't do any, like, it would be improper.
Yeah, pretty much. Any roles associated with your action done in direct defense of Mildred, of Ms. Bloom, are taken with advantage. So, if you're, like, regardless of My Person Friday, that is also something that you gain from the employer move, okay? So keep that in mind, like when you're out and about, okay?
Move the employer.
Awesome. All right. So, again, as Lord Oda had said, there are plenty of things to do today. So you are still investigating the Creature of Cremorne Gardens, trying to decide whether it's real or a hoax. You can answer a question. That is a move in this game. You can answer a question at any time You just have to, we're going to stop scene play, and then we're going to have a freewheeling discussion, all of us outside of character, including myself, to just make sure that we figure out like what your answer is, and then you will roll on your answer, just to be sure if it's right or if I get to have a reaction. So, what would you like to do today? I'm going to go around the table and find out what each of you would like to do. So again, Creature of Cremorne Gardens, and then the new threat, St. Cecilia's Gargoyle. Okay? So
If you all are okay with it, I'd like to maybe answer a question about creature before
Okay.
we start investigating more.
sure. All right, great. So let's go over to the threats tab in the character keeper, and then let's look at the clues that we have so far. I thought there was like 8 clues, but I don't know what happened to one of them. Okay, so I'm so sorry.
Oh,
What-
I deleted it because I realized it wasn't a clue.
Which one?
It was that Greco's biggest fear was Lord Oda. And so that was discovered in the information move, but I don't think it was a clue. Wait, it wasn't the information move. It was
Risk or something.
it was the mask, my mask of the aspect of the mask of the future, the cosmic passage. I saw through the my depiction,
Right.
something deep about the world. I don't think it was a clue.
No.
No.
Okay. So anyway, 7 clues. A girl singing an unusual song. A rubbery smell in an unusual place. A vicious argument between 2 side characters. The subject of the argument is unclear. Large glowing eyes peering at the undeniable from the darkness. That is definitely a clue. A rumor that Madame Tussauds is creating a Horrors of the Sea waxwork. An unusual substance smeared on a surface. And a large, flawless pearl. So again, you only need a minimum of 2 clues to be able to answer the question, but then that puts your roll at a -2. The complexity is 4, so to have a straight roll, you want to have 4 clues that you're incorporating into this answer, okay?
Well, my theory was that it is not a host; it's an actual creature.
Okay.
I think that the large glowing eyes that the undeniable saw were undeniably monstrous.
Okay.
They didn't belong to any kind of creature known to man or science.
Okay.
And I think the unusual substance smeared on the surface was maybe some kind of what do you call it? Not a mission, but like something that its skin produces.
Secretion.
Secretion, yeah.
I like that, yeah. Okay.
But I didn't know if we wanted to use any of the other clues for it or save them for the other question, but those are just the 2 that I had.
I think. Do we have a context of how the large flawless pearl was discovered?
Remember, you don't need to have that context.
Oh,
I mean,
okay,
it's-
okay.
You take the clue as it is, and then you can create context.
I think that the girl singing unusual song, I think that there is someone at the gardens who summoned the creature. And proof of that is in exchange for her doing something, she received a large, like either the large flawless pearl is like the one of the devices in which like part of the ritual that she summoned it or communicates with it in a special way, or it's a gift from the creature itself. And the creature produces like one of its things is it produces pearls. It's like a representation of the wealth of the sea.
Nice.
Right.
I like it, yeah.
Yeah, I like that too. Do we want to stop there, or did we want to incorporate any more of the clues that you currently have? Because we can.
I think I'm good to just use these because I don't know how many more clues we'll be able to find before like things escalate. So I'm like kind of okay with looking for more clues before we conclusively use the rest of these.
Sure. Okay.
One thing I may suggest is that we have an opportunity here to describe something about what makes up the supernatural in this world. And like maybe it's part of like what is the unusual substance is that like it like maybe glows in a certain light, or like in moonlight it like I'm trying to think of something like that could help build into other threats, like echo through.
Well, maybe when we find more clues, we can like build off.
Okay, I like that. Okay,
Yeah,
sounds
that's fine.
good.
So I definitely like the idea of it being something that we can kind of like dig into more.
Yeah, for
Or
sure.
somehow connected to Titania in the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
That'd be
absolutely.
great. All right.
So right now we're working off of 4 clues. Who wants to roll? And I will also accept like one character rolling 1 die each. So
I could take 2 die.
okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Wait, is or 1 die each if you want to do me and you, Jack?
You can roll both. I'm fine with it.
I'll do it. Okay. I'll do a 2d6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Google, let's go. I got a 3 and a 1.
4. Okay. Okay, so the way this works, for those not familiar with the Between, and anyone watching the video not familiar, is that is a miss. And what that
I don't
means
like that.
what that means is very strong keeper reaction from me in the next phase, or excuse me, in night phase, for being wrong. Or to being able to bump up the roll tier to 7 to 9, being partially successful, mixed result, is that you would all have to do a mask. Like, pick one of your masks of the future or the past.
I'm fine picking one of my masks if everyone else is fine picking a mask, but that's just me.
Let's burn them.
Okay.
Chris?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So each of you pick at one of your masks of the past or the future. The future ones, I believe, can be done in any order, but the masks of the past have to start with the first.
Yes.
The first one. Okay.
And then
So-
when Airnar gets back, they'll have to just mark a mask.
Yeah.
I mean, Mads, if you want to be generous, you don't have to force Arenar to do so.
Well, I mean, I think this, this takes all the help it can get. So, yes. I will remember to mark that as a yes, because we're also going to see this on the video. All right, great. So if you've all marked your masks, we're going to do the mask during Dusk phase. But you at least have the XP for the 1 dawn question. It's like, did you answer a question? Yes. Okay, great. Goodness. All right. So the bumped up tier to the mixed result means that you are correct. The creature is real, and there will be a complication with that. But it opens up the next opportunity. So if the creature is real, let me pull this up. Give me a second. Right. Copy paste. Come on. And copy paste does not want to work tonight. Yay. No. There we go. Okay. So, if the creature is... Nope. Silly. Okay. There we go. If the creature is real, what does it want? What does the creature want? That is a complexity 4. And what that does is you will resolve the threat by luring the creature to you and then destroying it or convincing it to go back to where it came from. All right, so that is the opportunity you have unlocked. All right, and that is, again, a complexity 4. So, what does the creature want? And you can then resolve the threat. Okay, so you have 3 clues for that you can use towards it. And then you just get as many clues as you want to create the answer for that particular question. And then you have now the new threat, which is threshold, which or what entity gave the gargoyle life? Demon, spirit, or man? Okay, so there's a few places to I guess explore yet in Cremorne Gardens to try to answer and resolve the threat. And then St. Cecilia's Gargoyle, of course, like you can go visit St. Cecilia's. Along with a few other places that are around. There's the wide alley that wraps around the cathedral, repurposed as a graveyard, which, fittingly enough, is called Death Alley. And then there's also some nearby rooftops that the creature or creatures were seen. And then there's also the catacombs of this church. So, a few places to check out if you'd want. I'm going to go around the table and ask what each person wants to do. All right? Lord Oda, what would you like to do today?
I have felt like something has been watching me for days and days. Lord Oda is feeling a pressure that is unwelcome, and hearing that this creature, or whatever it is, this presence has many eyes all over its body, he would want to confront it as soon as possible. So he is going to the catacombs.
Okie dokie. All right. And then, Ms. Bloom, where would you like to go?
Ms. Bloom isn't a fan of churches, so I think that she is going to want to continue to follow up with the Creature of Cremorne Gardens. What haven't we like visited from the creature? We've seen Albertina. We've met the Simpson, right? Who manages it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Did we go to? And we met Greco. Did we go to Madame Tussauds or?
No, you have not. There's also, let's see. There's also the Hedge Maze, sorry.
Yeah.
There's also Chain Walk. So that's another promenade that's closest to the harbor and the pier that was, talked about in the Illustrated Police News. And then
I think Miss Bloom will actually check out the Hedge Maze.
Okay, cool. All right. And Eligos, after you get settled in, where would you like to go?
Well, if it's all right with Lady Bloom, I'd like to check out the church in her absence.
Yes, she would just say keep an eye on Mr. Oda, make sure he doesn't fall out of line or do anything to offend our renowned name of Hargrave House.
It shall be so.
Excellent. Okay, great. So, let's go ahead and start with... Let's go ahead and start with Ms. Bloom. All right. So you make your way back to Cremorne Gardens, and then you find your way into the hedge maze. And it's described as towering hedges that seem to block you off from the outside world, stone benches and fountains, the occasional animal. Let's paint the scene, and this is for everybody, okay? Unbeknownst to people entering it for the first time, the hedge maze is designed to scare patrons. What frightening display do you see when you turn a corner?
I think that there is a really shoddy, maybe wax figure or some kind of mannequin that's dressed to look like Jack the Ripper. And it's got like springs so it jumps out.
I think that there's a display that it wasn't actually created by the gardens themselves, although some patrons may believe it is. There is a a lady wrapped in ropes like a spider web, bound, and her body is a collapsed husk, and on her face you can see that she died in pleasure.
Uh, hmm. I think there is the upper torso of a woman drowning at one of the dead ends, submerged in sort of a pool.
All right. So you see these things, and I mean, you're going to react the way you're going to react, Ms. Bloom. Do you find them banal, or do you find them slightly spooky at all?
The Jack the Ripper statue and the the figure of the lady drowning at the dead end are certainly camp. But there's something peculiar about the quality of the woman who's tied up in this spider web like harness that feels a little bit more strange. She does look at that for a moment, but she knows that she's here for something else, and so she moves on, but she makes note of it.
Okay. What are you? Are you just like kind of walking the maze? Are you looking for anything in particular?
She's just walking the maze, kind of keeping an eye out. She does want to try to get to the center.
Okay.
But for now, she's just trying to keep an eye out for anything that might stick out as being representative of that creature, whether it's like the strange secretions or like any other kind of smells, or even like overhearing the conversations that might hint at the creature from other people who are in the maze.
All right, so go ahead and take if you're like overhearing conversations and stuff like that, go ahead and take the information move with I want to say reason, because you're not like, activating any presence or anything like that on anyone. Yeah.
Either way, it'll be a 5 or a 6, unless you're asking for sensitivity, in which case it'd be a 7.
Not like you weren't like, necessarily like reaching out with your
Yeah, no.
unveiled senses, so I'm gonna say no. So that was a miss. Okay. Interesting. We're gonna come back to that. Okay. Let's go to Eligos. All right. So, Eligos, you've been tasked with kind of watching Lord Oda. I'd imagine like you're not like sticking to him like glue. You're like more like observing him from a distance, I suppose. What specifically are you doing to follow Lord Oda, but not being like obtrusive?
I mean, the easiest way is to make my presence, but not my purpose, known. I shall simply accompany him.
Ah, okay. Perfect. Let's see. You both make it to the church, and I imagine that Lord Oda is like immediately like curious about going to the catacombs, which of course is accessible through a different entrance from the actual church itself. You wanted to look at the inside the church or outside of the church? Eligos? I'm sorry.
If Lord Oda is going to the catacombs, then yes, I suppose I should look at the outer belfries and such. If it's a gargoyle, look where the gargoyles are.
Okay. St. Cecilia's Cathedral is described with stained glass windows, high shadowed balconies, hallways filled with nooks and crannies. Paint the scene for everyone. Despite its ornate religious regalia, what tells you that this is a church of the people, meant for common folk.
I have something if you don't.
I mean, it would be for each of you to narrate something.
Then
Yep.
in that case, there are no lords boxes. All of the seating is on one level, and we can see every parishioner from any spot in the pews.
I think it's pretty simple. I think there's like, and I don't have my Bible with me, but I think there's some kind of like wood etched placard that's just a sort of Bible passage, just talking about the Jesus is for the common man, something along those lines.
Give me a moment. I'm just checking. Okay. So, Lord Oda, when he's approaching the church, it is you see a group of nuns giving alms to the poor. Right, and one of there's a line, right, of the impoverished and the dirty outside. They can't go to church, but they are supporting the community in one way, and he just kicks a few out of the way as he's entering the church. There's a little rod that he uses. They scatter.
Of course he does.
And just as a follow-up, the passage from from the Bible on the placard would be Psalm 82:3-4, which is defend the weak and the fatherless, uphold the cause of the poor and the oppressed, rescue the weak and the needy, deliver them from the hand of the wicked.
Nice. All right. So, as you're looking at this cathedral on the outside, before kind of maybe following the Lord Oda, or at least seeing where he is, you see, well, let's have you take the information move for this. Yeah, let's have you take the information move for this to see what you see. Take it with, let's take it with reason.
And we're rolling with reason. Well, that's a 7, so.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Let's mark that down. Okay. Let me get back to you in a second. I want to get to Lord Oda before I reveal what people are experiencing. Okay, so you are headed down to the catacombs, accessible by what looks like a stone booth with the wrought iron door bars, and then for whatever reason it's kind of unlocked, because they're not really thinking about people going down there and doing anything untoward. If anything, it's narrow passageways, skeletal walls, and the strong stench of sewage and sulfur. So this is another paint the scene for everyone. It is apparent that someone uses this space for some form of religious ritual. What lets you know that it's a regular, weekly occurrence?
The reason most immediately to me is that as I walk through, someone is walking out at the same time.
There's no there's no context as to what is worshipped here. It's just something worshipped here.
some form of religious ritual.
I'm gonna say there are actually petals that resemble petals found on the flowers that grow in Buckingham Gardens around that strange bonsai tree.
There's, non-perishable. I get. Yeah, there's an offering of honey, let's say, that doesn't appear to have been sitting for very long.
So yes, you see these things, Lord Oda. How are you feeling being around this very apparent sense of death and things decaying and aging here? How do you feel?
I feel like once again I'm in the land of the dead. I can feel their breath on me.
Stench of death. Take that as a condition. Are you looking around? Are you...
If someone could just type that into my character and keeper, I would be appreciative. Yeah, so I would like to ask, who has come to greet me?
Greet you, or the one who had
Walking
just
out.
Walking out?
Well, I apologize. I was being presumptive.
Funny. Okay. You know what? Let's see. There's a beggar that seems to have come out of the catacombs. He has got shabby clothing. He for some reason has some kind of tattoo on his chest. I mean, like his shirt's kind of torn open, but you can't tell him much more than it looks like a flower. And for some reason, even though he's a beggar and you see his ragged clothes, his shoes are bright and shiny white. That is not a clue, that is just a detail.
Yeah, I'm going to make him my part of my cult. I'm going to use Giveth. Do I have Giveth? Never mind.
No, because you took the room.
You're right. Okay, never mind. I take that back. I don't have Giveth yet. I apologize.
Yeah. No problem.
So this gentleman, he's come out. Where's the honey?
Probably where you see it in the room.
Okay.
Probably on the floor.
Yes. Yeah. There's a thing of honey. And I say, sir, have you come to bathe me?
And he just kind of looks at you with some semi-bleary eyes and says, "What?"
I take off my the long billowing overcoat of lilies and soft petals that mimic the petals in the room, and I drop it to the floor, and I'm like just naked underneath, and I say, "The honey, sir." And I gesture.
I'm puzzled. I mean, you're quite an attractive piece, yes. And And he's like kind of trying to look at you, but he's not looking at you because he's kind of like, what? um, I worship here.
Oh, you're one of those. And I Lord Oda picks up the honey and he says, "Oh, my apologies." And he takes the honey and he does those 4 things that Christians do. And Lord Oda puts his hands together and starts to sing, "Oh, O sacrament most holy," to the man. And I start to bow and shake my head.
Ah, yeah, blessings on all. Fine evening for a walk, eh? Despite this happens, it's a fine bit of peace day if I found it. Yeah.
Are you
And-
speaking English, sir?
He takes there's a cup that he had on his person, and he kind of takes it in both hands and kind of gestures to you, like presenting the cup to you.
Yeah. You know, and unexpected. Can I do my mask of what is it called? The moss covered gate at this moment.
Only if you roll for it and you want to bump up tier, because that is a
Yeah.
mask.
Okay. Well, I did the mask during the bumping up the threat. But so this is something I already marked but have yet to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'd still prefer to do masks during Dusk. Or
Oh,
Dawn
okay.
phase.
I got
Yeah,
it. I
yeah,
got it. I was just thinking of a way to interact with this person. So he offers me the cup, correct?
Yes, it's basically it's penny for the guy, sir.
Yeah. And he offers me this cup, and I am just naked before him, like the day of my, well, I was going to say birth, but and I walk toward him, and into his cup I take, I'm trying to figure out what to do, so please cut to someone else.
Okay, well, we're gonna go back to Ms. Bloom. Goodness. Okay.
We'll go to Eligos.
Oh, that's true. Okay, yes, Eligos is closer. All right, great. So for 7, that is a mixed result. So you find you hear you're outside still, right, Eligos?
Yep.
Okay. You hear from where you're standing muffled echoes of enthusiastic prayer heard through the walls. Muffled echoes of enthusiastic prayer heard through the walls. That is your clue.
Whereabouts on the outside of the church? Like towards the back, towards the.
I'm going to say
what
the
is it
side.
called?
I'm going to say the
Okay.
side because you were making your way. You shared a carriage ride with Lord Oda, and then you saw that he had gone down to the catacombs, but you're by the side of the church. So not by one of the entrances. I'm going to say more by one of the I can't remember what they called them. The back of the church, the sacristy, I think it's called.
Yes, the sacristy.
Yeah. So you're probably near there. And that's what you hear as a clue. Okay?
Okay, so that's probably a priest, given it is not. But either way, I'll make note.
Yep.
I mean, that's prayer in a church. Not exactly notable. But we'll continue spot checking all the gargoyles.
Well, I mean, your complication is that. Give me a second. You are approached by a rowdy child. as you're contemplating the outside of the church and you're listening, you're hearing the prayers, there's a rowdy child that comes up to you. He's dressed in fine clothes, but he's covered in dirt, and his hair has a distinct cowlick. And he's kind of like, skipping up to you and says, "Hey, come look! I found a bug and it's got eyes bigger than me." Yeah. He's tugging at your suit.
Please don't touch the suit, but I would very much like to see the bug.
It's right through there. It's like we're gonna go down. They call it Death Alley. It's got gravestones and such. Yeah.
All right. Wait.
Do you go with him?
Yeah. Oh, I'm fully aware this is an ambush. I'll go.
Let's get over to Ms. Blue. You don't know if it's an ambush yet. Okay. All right. So you find yourself in the hedge maze and you missed. Oh my goodness. Oh boy. I think that what you find when you get to the center of the hedge maze, give me a second. Sorry. Okay. Well, we haven't seen this person yet, so this actually seems fitting. Who is that I see skulking about in the hedge maze? When you turn around, Miss Bloom, you see the tweed coat, the tidy mustache, and the smoking mustached face of D.I. Pettigrew, an official from Scotland Yard. Ms. Bloom, I presume.
You presume correctly. I'm sorry, I'm not acquainted. You are?
D.I. Pettigrew. You are currently a resident at Hargrave House, am I correct?
I am. How do you know that?
Oh, I make it my business to know who will be possibly meddling in Scotland Yard's cases. Because Hargrave House has that kind of reputation. The details are what matters here. Anyone with half a brain cell can tell you the idea of this fishman is complete nonsense. But it's the details that will reveal the perpetrator of this hoax. Is that what you're doing here? Searching for clues? Details?
Nothing of the sort, sir. I'm merely just enjoying the hedge maze. Like many others here.
Well, if you don't mind, I will accompany you through your promenade through the hedge maze. Not that I'm saying that you would be a person of interest, but perhaps, maybe 2 heads might be better than 1.
Of course. I'm just looking for the center. I'm more than happy to have a gentleman accompany me.
And he presents his arm to you.
Just looks at him and smiles at him and strides forward.
Put down marked by D.I. Pettigrew.
Oh, okay.
And basically he is now your companion for this whole jaunt through the hedge maze.
Yeah, I think she'll entertain whatever kind of small talk he has, but when they get towards the center, she'll look to him and say, "Mr. Pettigrew."
D.I.
Yeah.
Detective Inspector.
Detective Inspector, I do apologize. If you don't mind, I was actually looking to take a bit of a breather here. And I see something peculiar on my way in that I think would be of some interest to Scotland Yard. There's a strange, I don't know if it's a sculpture or art piece, but it's of a young woman wrapped up in red rope on the outside. It doesn't look like it was made by anyone here, though. Perhaps it's worth investigating.
You don't say. Oh, I've not seen this. Where is it?
It's right at the gate.
I'm gonna have you do a risky move for this.
A day move or night move?
Oh, day move. Sorry. Oh god. I'm getting all the games. It's like all similar, and it's like, okay, which move is it now? It's the day move. Sorry. Okay. So when you do something risky or face something you fear, name what you're afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve. Then roll with an appropriate ability. I'm gonna say in this case it's composure.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So what do you think is gonna happen if you mess up?
I think he's going to have to stick. He's going to do his best to stick around until I use magic to get him out of here.
Yeah, probably. It's gonna be worse because it's like, when he sees you do magic, or I should say, he's going to blame you for this, for the woman wrapped up in the rope somehow.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's gonna haul you in.
All right. That's a 6.
You want to bump that up?
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna bump it up. Maybe I will. Well, let me see.
So mark a mask.
When we already marked the Mask of Revelry.
Yeah, I think Lord Oda had.
And I can't mark the Mask of Penance with this, or can I?
No, because that is not the threat you're working on right now.
All right. I will go ahead and mark the Cosmic Passage.
Okay. All right, let's just see. I just want to see what your Cosmic Passage looks like. They're fascinating. All right. Oh, increase your sensitivity and reduce your reason. Oh boy. Well, hopefully that doesn't come back to bite you in the butt. Okay. Fabulous. All right. So you've bumped that up, and so went to a miss to a result. Okay. And that is 7 to 9. All right. So before I resolve Eligos following the kid, and then going back to Lord Oda with what he's doing with this beggar. Goodness, oh gracious. Let's take a 5-minute break because we're hitting the hour mark, okay? So let's go ahead and do that, and then I'll finish everybody up for day phase before we move on to dusk, okay? So 5 minutes, 11 mark. Yep. Okay, so we're just going to wrap up day phase. Lord Oda wanted to say something to this beggar.
Yeah. In this moment, surrounded by the stench of death and like the cloying sweetness of honey, Lord Oda says to the man and approaches him very closely. Lord Oda breathes in and says, "In my country, old boy, in 1620, the Tokugawa shogunate banned Christianity. I have seen many of your faith hide in burrows such as this one, and hounded like hares in a warren, then heard their gasps as they were put to the cross, crucified like their own poor savior, as a warning to the rest. I once kissed a man who was in such a sorry state, and in that brief moment of pleasure, the husky cause of 100 crows birth forced. It was a murder, for sure. I savored the moment, as it was I who had put him up there in the first place. Would you like to enjoy such a kiss, my lad? Or would you like to give me a moment of service and show me in deeper into these paths beneath the earth?" In this moment, Lord Oda's eyelids flutter open, revealing them to be white butterflies that flutter and fly into the poor man's cup, transforming into coin. I would like to roll with presence, night move, if possible.
No, you're not really in danger.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you're like you're giving him coin and you are trying to get information, I will allow you to roll with presence.
All right. So information with presence.
Mm-hmm.
Presence is 2. And so 2d6. Two d6 plus 2. Google, let's go. So I got a 5 plus 2. So that is a 7.
Okay.
And I would like, I would like
bump
to,
it up?
yeah, I want to bump it up with the Mask of Penance.
Okay. Mask of Penance. Da-da-da-da. Now, the thing with a threat mask is that one person picks it, but everyone has to do it. And what this mask is try and put it in the appropriate place here. Mask of Penance. Each hunter narrates a flashback of a moment they beg someone for forgiveness, only to be denied. So again, each hunter narrates a flashback of a moment they begged someone for forgiveness, only to be denied. That is the Mask of Penance, which can be done at Dusk phase or Dawn phase. Okay? And everyone has to do it. Now, so a reminder for everyone, as well as to let Chris know, masks, when you do your narrations, can be individual, like for however many that you do, or if you're feeling creative, you can try to combine them. So this way you don't have to do so many. So if you have like a Mask of Past or Mask of the Threat, then you can combine them into one if you want to. Okay? All right. So that was Lord Oda. And then that was information move for a definite clue. Your clue is he wordlessly looks at you in wonder and then looks at the coin that's in his cup. And without speaking, he just reaches into his tattered pocket and pulls out, and this is your clue, he pulls out a stone that glows crimson when held in your palm. That is your clue. A stone that glows crimson when held in your palm.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, the beauty of cut and paste. Yay. Okay. Fantastic. All right. So, Ms. Bloom, you had gone to show D.I. Pettigrew the woman tied up in rope.
No, I told him to go there so I could go to the center of the
Oh.
regiment by myself.
Gotcha. Okay. Got it. All right. So it happens, for sure. And then let's see. Go to the hedge maze. Center. And it's kind of anticlimactic when you get to the center of the hedge maze. It's like you don't necessarily see anything off the top.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
As long as I'm alone.
Yeah, you are alone.
She'll take a seat on one of the benches within.
Yes.
And she will take out one of her hairpins. It's very long, golden, with a floral motif to it. Looks like glass and enamel lavender flowers, a bit smaller. She takes it out, and then she undoes the buttons on her wrist and rolls up her sleeve. And when we see on her skin is numerous scars and burns, many of which are the shape of these very strange looking arcane symbols. and she turns over her wrists and begins to mutter this incantation as she begins to carve into one of these sigils, opening up the scar again, letting the blood kind of fall down into the palm of her hand. And then when it's in there, she will use her ritual of salt and smoke to try and observe another place in time.
Okay. All right. So you want to roll on that with sensitivity.
9 plus 2, so that's an 11.
Excellent. All right, great. So the effect, the magic works without further cost. Choose your effect. You want to observe another place or time. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And that. I will ask you, it's like, are you looking through this something specific? Something
I'm just
here?
trying to see if I can get like the memories of this place to see if there's any sign of the creature coming through here, or if there's any kind of like images or memories of people who may have been talking about it, or if, just any kind of like evidence that might have come through here.
Great. Okay. All right.
Sort of like Minority reporting it,
Yeah, no. Gotcha. All right. What you see is the creature, but it's indistinct. It's almost like you're viewing this through smoke. So all the figures are like dark, black, gray, and when they're moving through this scene that you're seeing, it's like moving through fog, and then there's these wisps of smoke coming off of them, and you see the creature. Can't quite tell details, but you do see smoky, oily fish scales coming off of them and then dropping onto the ground. That is your clue. Oily fish scales discarded.
Awesome. Yeah, she'll when the vision is clear, she'll just quickly pull out a bandage from her handbag, just quickly wrap her wrist, and then button herself up, and then she'll make her way out of the hedge maze and back to Hargrave House.
Excellent. Okay. Now, Eligos, you are brought to Death Alley. This is a wide alley that wraps around the cathedral, repurposed as a graveyard. Old, storied headstones, large, rusted gates. I paint the scene for everyone. As you walk through Death Alley, how do you know that your sins are being judged?
I think going with the eye motif again, I think there's lots of like eye-shaped graffiti done with like paint and like chalk, done by some like the kids in the neighborhood who just draw these large eyes on the side of the church, and like anyone who walks down there feels like the eyes are looking at them.
I think carved in some of the gravestones are just very rude messages. Like, here lies a man who is a failure to his family. Things we pass by.
Your sins are being judged from the other end.
Love it. Love it. And this kid brings you to this alley, Eligos, and he just starts telling you about how much he likes to explore and play around here, and how his parents are trying to keep him at home because of the mess with the body discovered in the cathedral. But he loves to climb and sneak out to play. He said, well, he says he's trying to find a way to get to the rooftops. But he doesn't tell you why. Do you ask him?
I think I do.
All right. So roll me the information move, and I'm going to ask you to do presence for this.
Okay, let me double check what my presence is. Pro tip for people building characters on the fly: don't make your only good stat the stat you use when another person is in the scene. So then they can just isolate and hurt you. That's +0.
Okay. What'd you get?
That is an 11, so
Oh.
we don't care.
Yeah, we're good. We're awesome. Yeah. So the kid basically tells you that he's trying to find a way to the rooftops because what he's seen is... Yeah. I'll give you the name in a minute, but I have to figure out which one it would be. He said he saw something the last time he was playing around here, and he couldn't tell what it was in the darkness or the afternoon waning light, but he thought he saw, again, I have to give you a name like later on, a side character's body hanging off of the cathedral's roof. That is your clue.
And that's not what we're here investigating in the first place?
This is somebody different. Like not the original body that was found in the cathedral. This is somebody else.
Body on the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Slot that in.
All right. And with all of that, I'm gonna say we're wrapping up day phase. Okay, and then we are going to go into Dusk. And what Dusk entails, I can just get to it. Okay. All right. So, I don't think anybody, well, the American would have, like Smoke would have to roll for the quickening, but they're not here right now. I mean, maybe they're like elsewhere in Cremorne Gardens. That's what we're going to say. So, not to worry about it today. All right. We talk about Hargrave House in Dusk phase. And one of the things that we're going to work on for today, because of what was mentioned earlier, is the music room. Let me see. Yeah, the music room. A former hunter in residence once used this room to wrangle a spirit using the power of music. They are still subtle signs of the struggle in this room. What are they? So paint the scene.
The piano plays itself.
Okay.
I think on a music stand there is very, very old sheet music, and there's like cobwebs draped on it, like the sheet stand itself hasn't been moved in a while. But you see dangled in the cobwebs and even on the floor you see actual music notes.
You keep stealing basically what I'm going to say. It's quite frustrating, even though we can't possibly know that this is happening. I guess what this means is we're basic. But, let's say that there are several cracks and scratches in the plaster of the walls that we like to people who would recognize it look like sound waves, like visualizer or like record scratches if you just screamed into a record. Just sort of scattered throughout the room.
Nice. Alrighty. Now, because of all the Janus masks are on the table, I'm going to ask. We can either buzz through the Janus masks and then try to do a really, really brutal night phase to squeeze everything in, or we can take our leisurely time to hear like all the masks that want to be done in this phase, and then wrap up with finding out what you want to do for night phase, and I will introduce the unseen for next session. So we will start with night phase for next time, okay? So we can press on and really try to speed through this stuff to get all the way to dawn, or we can, again, get through dusk and then debrief with stars and wishes, and then have, start with night phase next time.
I've got at least 3 masks, and I'm not sure how I would tie them into each other right now. So I'm in camp. Wait to do night phase next time.
Yeah. Okay. Great. No, I mean, I'd love to
But
hear everybody.
if everyone else is like good to go, I'm fine going with the majority.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with Jack.
Yeah. Okay. Great. No. That's wonderful. I mean, I'd rather have like a good night phase where you can engage with the what happens and then do the unseen well, rather than like try to buzz through it and go, oh, all right, it's something. Ew, gross.
Yeah.
So,
no, I'm feeling a little.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so we are going to propose what your hunter is going to be doing for this upcoming night phase. Okay, go around the table once, and then if you want to change your answer, then just we'll change it in the second round. Okay, so what would you like to be doing for the upcoming night phase? Let's start with Ms. Bloom.
I think for the night phase, she's going to stay at home and she's going to try another ritual, but this time to try and communicate with the creature.
Okay. Are you using the specific... Wait, hold on. Do you have that move?
I don't have the ritual chamber. I'm just using right salt and smoke.
Okay. There was the other move that that you could use for that, but you have to walk the streets of
Yeah,
London.
no, I don't have that yet.
Okay. No, just making sure. All right. Okay. All right. Eligos, what would you like to do for night phase?
I mean, what are my options?
You can pretty much choose to do anything you want. However, I will tell you, since you're not familiar with the game, that day phase is usually considered for the players, but night phase belongs to the keeper. So you're gonna propose stuff. We'll see if it happens. Not that I'm saying I'm taking away agency. It's just that certain things happen.
I have less agency, just as a given.
But what would you like to do? What would Eligos like to do for night phase?
I would like to set the stage for a rude awakening for Lord Oda after he disrespected me this morning.
Okay. All right. And Lord Oda, what would you like to do?
Lord Oda will confront the apparition, which is in my one of the places in which I am worshipped, and attempt to inquire into its nature using Eligos as a sacrifice, or offering it. Yeah, Eligos.
Okay. Interesting.
Cool. So I know what my prank is now.
Oh, and then we're gonna have smoke come back. So this will be even better. I mean, okay, great. Right. Fun. Does anybody want to change their answer for next time?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
No.
Okay. All right. So before I introduce the unseen to close out Dusk phase, all right, let's start hearing some people's masks. So remember, if I remember correctly, somebody activated Mask of Revelry from last time, and just as a reminder, hold on. Mask of Revelry is each hunter narrates a flashback to the last truly fun day they had, whatever that means for the denizens of Hargrave House. And then Mask of Penance, that was also activated in this session, which is each hunter narrates a flashback of a moment they beg someone for forgiveness, only to be denied. So get through as many masks as you think you can for this particular phase. You will also have an opportunity to do masks in the dawn phase of, well, when we get to it. Okay? So, yeah, many masks on the table. Whoever wants to start. Okay, go ahead, Lord Oda.
Mask of Penance. We get a flashback to a time when Lord Oda is in front of a crucifix in Hiroshima, or actually maybe like Gunma prefecture, and there is well, actually, it would. Where would I think it would be near Nagasaki, where the Christians are mostly. Yeah. So anyway, in Kyushu somewhere, there's a beautiful bloody sunset with the silhouette of a man on a crucifix, and Lord Oda's there beneath, and it is like what he described to the beggar, but there is something quite different in the real situation, because Lord Oda is kneeling in front of the crucifix and weeping. He offers his hands and says, "I'm so sorry. I did not mean for this to happen to this young lord who is strapped up, bleeding out, and slowly over the course of days." And Lord Oda says, "If there's anything I could do for you to forgive me." And the man says, "I wouldn't even want you to put me out of my misery. I can never forgive you."
I think I could bang out all three of mine. I'm not gonna loop them in together, but I'll set it up. So I think when Mildred, Miss Bloom, is in the center of the hedge mage and she's wrapped up her bandaged arm, and she's buttoning up her sleeve, she sits and takes in the greenery and scenery. And there's a moment thinking about how Eligos is back in her life, where she reflects on a time where, and if this isn't line up with what you had in mind, Chris, just let me know. But I see.
I have nothing in mind.
Okay. So I see Eligos wheeling Miss Bloom out to a large garden in a wheelchair. She's probably about 8 or 9. And it's like one of those old-fashioned wheelchairs with like the wicker back. And she's very pale, very sickly looking. She's got a parasol that Eligos is holding over her head. And she stands behind her. It looks to be some kind of birthday party. There's a table set up with a beautiful spread, lavish food, all on fine silver. There are other children playing, but completely ignoring her. And at first you'd think that there might be some sense of envy coming from Miss Bloom at this age, looking at all these other children who are healthy and running around. But she looks up at Eligos and smiles, and looks to the table, and she says, "May I have some cake?" And Eligos nods, and begins to push her over to the table, and begins to cut her up a slice of princess-style cake. It's like a Swedish kind of cake with a marzipan green outside, and I forget what kind of frosting it is on the inside, but it's a very beautiful cake. And she smiles back at him, appreciative of him feeding this to her. Not feeding it to her, but at least handing it off to her. And the two of them just sit there, and well, he stands there rather, until she invites him to sit. "Please, sit. Enjoy yourself. This is my party after all." And he begrudgingly accepts and sits, and the two of them have just 2 pieces of cake together, as the other kids just ignore them, running around, rolling around the grass, getting their fine clothes all dirtied up with grass stains and mud. But there's this immediate cut where she feels a wince of pain, and we cut to a much darker space. We see an older Mildred, probably about 15, 16, 17, somewhere in her late teens. And she is naked, and she is strung up in this It looks to be like this catacomb-esque chamber, and there's a cauldron bubbling in the corner, and there are women surrounding her, all in these dark robes, and she is, what's it called? I think it's called the Jerusalem crucifix, where her hands are tied behind her back and reached up and tied up to stretch them out. She's dangling from the ceiling. And we see all these freshly carved and burned markings on her flesh. Her hair is damp and she's sweating and she looks exhausted. And a central figure comes out, this one dressed in a nun's habit. And she puts her fingers and clenches them onto Miss Bloom's jaw and lifts her head up. Now, you know better than not to escape. I don't know why you thought you could. And Miss Bloom she's far too weak to resist, and she just pleads, I'm sorry, please. I promise I won't do it again. I'll do whatever you ask. I promise. And the nun just releases her head. You've said that before, and yet you are so willful. And no matter whatever we do, you just seem to disobey us. Well, fire always purifies things. Sister, and she looks over to one of the other witches who pulls out from the fire that's burning under this cauldron, a fire poker. And before we cut into anything deeper, we just see this other witch hand off the fire poker to the nun. And Miss Bloom snaps out of it, and she realizes that some of the blood is seeping through the bandage and seeping through her sleeve. And she takes a deep breath and she tries to steel herself. And she stands and begins to make her way out of the hedge maze, trying her best to avoid D.I. Pettigrew and whatever bobbies or policemen he might have brought to the scene of this poor woman who's strung up in blood-red shibari rope for all to see. She makes her way back home, and she enters her bedroom. She sits down at the foot of the bed, dressing her wound. And as she does, we flash back to a time before Mildred was born. And this is her mask of the past, which is to narrate a flashback to the time when you were in your mother's womb that shows even then dark entries were interested in you. And we flash back to the inside of a church, and very put together woman seated next to presumably her husband are both in the midst of service, Sunday service at this. It's not too lavish, but it's a moderately sized Catholic chapel, cathedral rather. But the woman is clearly pregnant, though probably only in like her second trimester, maybe at the beginning of the third. But she's clearly in discomfort as this father, this pastor, is preaching at the pulpit. And she squeezes her husband's hand, and he looks to her concerned. She shakes her head. I'm all right. And he asks, are you sure? And she nods and just picks up the leaflet with today's Psalms printed on it. And they continue to recite the Psalms and sing the hymns. But we immediately jump cut to screaming. And we are in a bedroom, Victorian bedroom that's beautifully decorated. It's like this beautiful, lavish brocade and fur throws and bedding on top of it. It's silk. It's this beautiful canopy bed with mahogany posts, and we see the husband cradling his wife as he's trying to help her assist her to the bed. And we see falling from beneath her skirt droplets of blood. She's just leaving this trail of blood beside her or beneath her. And she falls onto the bed, just crying out in pain, gripping her stomach. and she's crying out for him for help, for him to get a doctor or something. And he starts to push her up onto the bed, trying to get her comfortable. Blood is now seeped into the floor and onto the bedding itself, dripping down. But we don't focus on those two. We stay stay looking at the bed. And there's a pool of blood that's formed at the base of the bed. And there's a shadow underneath. And as she's crying out in pain, and as the husband is trying his best to tend to her, we see this very long serpentine tongue begin to lap up the blood from beneath the bed. We just hear this heavy, musky breathing sound as it laps the blood up. And we cut back.
All right. Well, are you sure I can do a Mask of Past, Mask of Penance? It will not be that good. So just to set expectations here, I believe for the Mask of the Past, my first mask is narrate a flashback to your young adulthood before you were a servant that shows your most significant professional triumph. And I will say that that flashback is Eligos dressed in Harlequin's colors, so a bright checker pattern, sort of like, coming just off stage, but he's performing in an elegant manor home and has just broken into the third floor study of the person the troupe is performing for. And in that room, he finds not only riches, which he just, proceeds to pour into the loose pants, but also a very particular Harlequin mask that happens to be haunted. And then his Mask of Penance is him later that night. But let's say as dawn breaks that night, the colors are, the outfit is torn. He's feverishly wandering the streets and has been for some hours, begging the spirits of the mask to leave him be. And just as dawn breaks, he is able to rip the mask off his face. But of course, the answer is in the asking. He is denied.
And granted, you weren't here for this, but I mean, you could conceivably do a Mask of Revelry. I mean, I'm not going to ask it of you now if you don't have anything.
Nah,
but
I don't have any.
Just go ahead and save that for dawn. Yeah, for dawn when we
Sure.
get to dawn phase. Yeah. But oh my gosh. You guys. Oh crap. Okay. So, got through those masks that you want to do now. Wonderful. Holy crap. And then I'm going to introduce the unseen before we close out the session and then do stars and wishes. Okay? So for this upcoming night phase, we are going to do A Night at the Grand Guignol, the Baker's Son. Every class of people in London is represented in the audience of the theatre Grand Guignol. They have come to watch the newest production, The Baker's Son, a story filled with romance, heartbreak, and bucketfuls of blood. So, Paint the Scene will be for everyone. Prompt 2 will be for, let's make it Jack. Prompt 3 will be Chris. And prompt 4 will be Ben. All right. And that will be for next time. I'm going to go ahead and mark that for myself.
These are marked in London.
Yes, London at night, the unseen. All right. So we'll go ahead and follow along once we start night phase, because then we're gonna go through
Got
each
it.
of the prompts back and forth with the hunter's scenes, what's actually going to happen. All right, and I'll review this in the beginning of the next session, so this way also Smoke will be on board, and then we'll figure out what they want to do for night phase as well, and then incorporate that into the plan, possibly. All right, so we close out our session tonight on Dusk. And then let's go to stars and wishes. Again, stars for anything that you enjoyed about the gameplay, about the role play, anything that came up that was particularly good in your eyes. And then wishes, things that you want to see for next time or in the future. Okay, keeping it possible. All right. I really liked. I'm just gonna start. So. Star definitely for keeping with things that kept on coming back, like with the eyes and the watching, just things that are like, little things that can turn into through lines, not only in this particular session, but I mean, like, I'm sure that between watching the video or making notes in the character keeper, you guys are like following through, and anybody that's watched me play or talk about playing, knows that I love callbacks. So please do. I'm totally happy to see that continue on through your campaign. So definite star. Another star for everyone is like the narrations. I mean, whether they be short or a little bit long, I mean, like, there's still some richness in every single one. I mean, I can see the characters, and I can see, like, you as players going through them and then seeing these masks and just being completely amazed by the depth of all of it. And I will say that for purposes of the game, all right, we know we're in Victorian England, but this is our version of Victorian England, so it does not have to be historically accurate. Same thing with Satoro's history. I mean, that does not necessarily have to be historically accurate for this game. Okay, so just like take some pressure off of yourself, please. And then wishes for next time. I mean, again, seeing more of the characters getting together and possibly working together, even if adversarially, that's fine, because then it's like I want to see more of the characters through their interactions. That's always fun. All right. And wonderful to welcome Eligos to the... Is it Eligos or Eligos to the team?
It does not matter. This isn't even his real name.
Well, okay. It's fine. Alrighty. So, that's my stuff.
I'm gonna go next, I guess. So stars. Mad's good on the pacing this time. I think you're getting better and better every session. I think that you're like finding your flow, which is always fun to see. And like, I think you're really getting into it. You're doing a great job so far. So congratulations and thank you for hosting this for us. Star for Ben. You just come up with the craziest shit, and I'm super into it. Obviously, like, we've worked together on a playbook and stuff like that, but like, so I know a little bit of what your mind does. So like, I'm very excited to see how it keeps doing the thing that it does, and seeing where it goes. My only wish for you is to slow down on the mast. I want to see more of him, so I don't want him to go too soon. Chris, welcome aboard. My wish is that you stop self-deprecating, because you're doing great. But my star for you is that I really loved how he just has this sense of duty and confidence to him right off the bat. It feels very natural, and I think it's going to mesh really well with everyone else's personalities. It's a nice foil to, I think it's a nice foil to both Miss Bloom and Lord Oda, because Lord Oda is obviously this decadent piece of shit, and Miss Bloom is like, she's doing her best to keep it together, but she's very much trying to keep it together. It's not like it's natural for her. So I think that like his presence is going to be like a nice little balm for that. And then when he meets Smoke, it's going to be like, oh, this is a cool person, and I think it'll be someone like you can feel relaxed around and not like not like these other two crazies that are living in the house. But yeah, that's about it. And my other wish is just to keep seeing what other threats we're going to get into, and I really want to see us get more conditions and more Theodora. Not Theodora, Titania. Because I'm excited for that. Because I haven't seen her play before. So I really want to see how Mads handles her. She's a handful. And
is Titania our mastermind? Do we know? We just have a name drop. Cool. I'm gonna
Who
build my
knows?
entire backstory around that.
Definitely watch definitely watch the episode 1, because at the very end, or like near the end, I do the first appearance of the mastermind as well as the end of session scene.
Cool.
Okay.
And my other star too is for running St. Cecilia's Gargoyle. I know it's homebrew, and it's one that I've read and I really like, but I haven't run it myself yet. So I'm really excited to see it actually get run, because I don't think none of the actual plays that I've watched have actually played it. So I think, because who wrote that? Jason B. or
Jason Burns? Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I as soon as I read it, I was like, oh, this is really cool. So I definitely wanted to include it, and I figured it was like kind of a similar theme to Cremorne. But I mean, like it is very different, when you go through it. So I wanted to see how you guys were going to handle it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Those are my stars and wishes.
Chris, would you like to go?
Sure. Stars for Ben. That first introduction. From minute 1 of you chiming in that, they're just drunken revelers scattered about the kitchen, to every petty little snipe you threw in. Like, wow, you really did so much with so little to make Eligos hate you. I'm really excited to see how that goes. Stars to Mads. You're just great. You're doing great. You're running great. I have no comment. I have no specific comments for you, because a GM, if their job is done well, fades into the background, and you do it with grace. Jack, just fantastic work. Those masks, like, legitimately stunned me to actual silence. And wishes, I want to see what happens when Eligos snaps. I want to see how far we can push this cool competence.
Thank you. That was awesome. Chris, I apologize.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say everything really quickly. So great threat choices. Oh my God, Mads. It's so fresh, so wonderful. We have so many threats that haven't been played, and you're like really bringing them out. And it's like, I love that our first threat was the shape of water, and it was great. And I love watching Mads' reactions to Jack's masks of the past, or was it? And then thank you for giving us time at the end, and not feeling rushed to do the night phase, and asserting your boundaries when I proposed like that giant like item. I appreciate that, because I'm giving a lot, and so it's fine to like do that dance with me.
I appreciate your creativity, but like me, we just try to rein it in so you don't throw out the baby with the kitchen sink and all that kind of Malafor.
I wanted to like give it in the chat so you could think about it.
Thank you.
Then I would like you to make me mark my likeness more, because I've been doing terrible things, and you can freely make me mark my reflection. I want to see more Pettigrew on my tail, and the conflict between Mildred and my character, also Eligos now. I'm just stirring in the pot. Mads, you said like this is your campaign, like that is like the player's campaign, but it's our campaign. So feel welcome to participate as much as you want in crafting narrative, and bring your own, push the scales, drive things as you want.
Oh, I will. Don't worry. It'll happen. I'm a slow burn type of gal.